I took this picture at night with my Crown Graphic 4x5 camera, and this is the resultant darkroom print. Now you probably can see quite a bit of detail in the shadow areas on this print, or you can if you see it in real life, but the reality is that when I was there I couldn't see a thing, only the bright lights. So the focusing was trial and error for me, trying to find the right place to get everything in focus. I wanted to focus a third of the way into the scene and then stop the lens down, but I was guessing all the time. But fortunately I got it right. We got a 1 hour exposure, and this is the end result. I wonder if I'd had this, if it had made life easier. To the left hand side, you see the laser. Is my Pentax LX, got a 50mm lens on it. The distance it's given me is 8.50 feet onto the subject. I would say it'd be nearly impossible using it handheld. Oh, wind down again, Mark. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now, this week's video is all about shoe-mounted light meters. I've done a few videos over the years of them. This is the Astoria XH2, nice little meter. This is another shoe-mounted meter. This is the Voigtlander VC2 meter. One of my favourite meters, this. I love this meter. But the difference with the meter I'm going to show you, it does take light readings, but it has another function that I'll show you in a minute. It's designed and made by Qi, I think I pronounced that right, in China, and it's called the L.D Meter. It comes in a nice strong box to survive the journey from China. It has instructions that come with it, and it comes with a USB-C charging cable. This camera doesn't have batteries. You charge it with the USB cable, USB-C, and this is the actual light meter itself. And I must say it feels very, very well built. But the difference with this meter, and I'll turn it on, this meter has, you can see on my arm, a laser beam, a laser pointer. So if you find it difficult guesstimating distances, this meter might be for you, because it transfers the distance onto the liquid crystal display at the top there in feet or meters, and then you set that on the camera. Very good for, as I say, for cameras like these cameras. You have to guesstimate the distances and set them on the front, or you could use these with an accurate shoe-mounted rangefinder like this. It makes them very, very easy to use. So in this video I'm going to go out and test the distance, the laser beam, see if that's okay, and test out the exposure readers that this meter gives. But first of all, let me show you the various functions that comes with this meter. So let's take a close look at the L.D Meter. We'll look at this side. You can see there's a USB port, USB-C for charging the light meter. There's no batteries in it. There's an on-off switch for the laser. Turn it off when you're not using it, it'll save power. And then on the hot shoe you can see there's a spring there, and that spring makes a tight fit when you push it onto the hot shoe or cold shoe. I wish my Voigtlander VC2 had that feature, because I have to tape that on, otherwise it slips off. So that's a great feature, is that. If we look at this side, it just says mag. I'm assuming that's for an accessory, I'm not sure. I know they do I think they call a sight for this, which fits onto the side of the meter, and it allows you to view, I would think, view the laser spot at further distances, and that's maybe to do with that, I'm not sure. At the back we've got the control button there. Just depending how many times you press it, controls how the meter works. On the front we've got the various windows for the exposure meter and the window for the laser beam. And it's worth mentioning at the moment that this meter comes in 2 variants, and you know if it's a standard or pro because it says it on the bottom. Mine says pro. The only thing, using the pro meter, it's a little bit like using a spot meter because it's a lot narrower view than the standard meter. So a little bit of understanding of how exposure works using that narrow angle of view helps. But once you get used to it, using the narrow angle of view is better than using the wider view. The shoe mount there can be moved by undoing those screws to fit various cameras. It's also worth mentioning about the laser that I think it's a class, what they call a class 2. So I don't think if you pointed it at somebody's eye it would damage it, but don't take my word for it for that. But I think that if it's not continuously pointed at someone's eye, you'd probably be okay, but just be careful with that. The top of the meter, we've got the LCD screen at the back there, and I like the way it's angled back, easier to see. And then we've got the dial for adjusting the various settings. To turn it on, press the button down, it comes on, and just open that up so we can see the other settings. We can set it to what you might call aperture priority, where the aperture set and the shutter speed changes, or we can switch it by pressing twice to shutter priority. Obviously you've got to transfer these settings onto your camera. And we've got a battery check icon there. Now I've been using this meter all day and it's not moved much, so I would imagine it'll last quite a while with a full charge. You can meter in EVs. The ISO is set there. To alter the ISO, you double press, keep it down, that's it, and then use the dial to change the ISO. So if I want to go to 50 ISO, that's it, it's done. I'm now at 50 ISO. It tells null there because the laser is off. Once I switch it on, the laser comes on and it's now pointing at my wall, which you can't see, and it's telling me it's 4.13 feet. So we're getting the distance and the exposure all on that scale. So it's very, very good. The button does various other things. Read the instructions. I'm at an age now when I look at these instructions and things, I tend to forget. Working everything with one button can be a little bit awkward because you've got to remember how many times to press it to change certain functions. But as with anything, the more you use it, the more you'll get used to it. So I'm going to go out in my back garden and test the L.D meter. I've got it mounted on top of my Pentax LX. Now the reason I'm using the LX is against using some of the old folders that I've got. These use scale focus, zone focus, is because a lot of my folders, some are in meters. I don't work in meters, and some of them are not that accurate at focusing at closer distances. I know the Pentax LX is accurate, so if the focus is off, it's not the camera that's doing it, it's the meter giving the wrong distance. The other reason is I've more chance at setting distances on this lens because there's more distance marks on the actual lens barrel itself. Right, let's go out and test it. Right, to do the test, I've come out into my back garden, and this is the first subject, and this is going to be for the closer in distances, testing the L.D meter. Is my Pentax LX, got a 50mm lens on it, and as you can see I've got the L.D meter mounted on the hot shoe. I've got it loaded with Ilford FP4, and I'm not going to use this camera in any way by looking through the viewfinder to look at the exposure or to actually focus with the lens. All I'm going to do is transfer the numbers that this meter gives me onto the camera, and that includes the distance that the laser beam gives. So I'm going to mount it on a tripod, and I think because it's a 7-degree meter, that wherever the laser points, that's where the the camera's sort of metering from. That's what I'm assuming. So let's get it set up on a tripod and we'll see how we go. So I'll transfer those readings onto the LX, 2.76 feet. Now that's a little bit difficult because it goes from 2.5, I reckon it's about there. I'm on F2, the exposure, well, was 500th of a second, it's gone down to 400th of a second, but I'll just stick with a 500th. Wind the camera on. So I've not used anything on the LX to focus or set the exposure through the meter. It's just going by what the LD meter's telling me. Right, we'll take the shot. So that's the first one. Now I'm going to move back a little bit and then see how that works. Now, before I make any comments about the LD meter and how it's performed in these pictures, I just want to say that I haven't really used the LD meter that much. So I'm still getting accustomed to the way the various functions work, how the actual 7-degree meter reads the scene, and getting that laser in the right position is also very important. So I'm still learning all that. But to say that I use the lens at f2, which is a wide aperture, very little depth of field, so there isn't a lot of room for error. I think the meter's done quite a good job on this. The only problem is when it's reading distances like it did for this picture, 2.76 feet. On my lens, it only goes from 2 feet to 3 feet. So you've got to try and guesstimate the 7.6, which I think I've done quite well on this. So for this picture, the actual metering, I think it's done very well. It was a very cloudy, dull day, and I think it's got the focus nearly spot on. So the first picture, I have to give it 10 out of 10. Right, I've moved back now and press the button to activate the meter. I'll still work at f2. That'll really test the actual distance, what the laser's giving. Press the button for the laser. You can just see where it is there. You can just see that. It's not always easy to see. And it's giving me 1/500th of a second at f2. So we'll set that on the camera. And then the distance, it's saying 4.92 feet. I don't have those exact, I don't think any lens has those exact measurements on them, but I can get it very near. So that's all set. Right, take this exposure. Won't work if I don't wind it on. So again, I haven't looked through the viewfinder. Only the reason I have looked through is to get the composition, but not to check the exposure or focus to get the distance. So, right, let's try a longer distance now. Right, the second picture, I think the LD meter's done again a very good job of the exposure, considering the dull weather conditions. As regard the focus, I don't think it's as sharp as the first image. It's perfectly okay, but not as pin sharp, and I think that's probably down to me trying to guesstimate the 0.92 on the scale on the lens, because again it only goes from 4 foot to 5 foot, but it's perfectly acceptable. So I think the LD meter as regards focus and exposure has done another good job, and I have to give it 10 out of 10. So I've got the ornament set on the fence, and got the LD meter on the camera. You can just see carefully to the left hand side, you can just see the laser flashing on and off, although it's not easy to see on the video. And this is it mounted on the camera, and that's the laser flashing on and off. And from this distance, you probably can't see it flashing. So I'll transfer the settings on the LD meter. distance it's giving me is 8.50 feet. So set that on the focusing ring. I'm on F2. I'm using F2 as I said before because it'll show me if it's if the accuracy is good, because at F2 with little depth of field. The exposure is 1/800th of a second at F2. It's wound on. So again, not looking through the viewfinder, only for composition, and take this picture. So that's at that distance. Now I'm going to try and focus on something further, and we'll see if it's possible to see this LED light at a distance. So I think the LD meter has done a very good job of the exposure, nice open shadows, controlled highlights. The focus I don't think is absolutely pin sharp. Keep in mind we're working at F2 here, but I think this could be a little bit down to user error. This is where the focus spot was on. That's why I was taking the reading, and maybe I should have got it on the face. It does make a difference. But overall, I think it's done a very good job. So once again, at these close and medium distances, I think the media has done really, really well. So again, I'll have to give it 10 out of 10. Right, I must say it's not easy at a distance like this to get that laser point onto the subject. I would say it'd be nearly impossible using it handheld. I had to follow the laser beam on the side of the fence to see where it was, and then eventually I got it onto the ornament. But it's not easy, and I'll show you where the laser beam's pointing now, because you won't see it on the GoPro. And that's where the laser beam is pointed. I say it was very difficult to get it onto that point at that distance. Right, transfer the settings on the meter. And it's again working at F2. It's 1/250th of a second, F2. The distance is 29.3 feet. So set that on the lens. Again, I can't be dead precise with that, but I think I can get very near. And the shutter speed is 1/250th of a second. Right, wind it on, take this image. So that's that one. Now I'm going to do one further away, just to see if I can actually see this this laser. This is where the problem could be, but it might be not as big a problem as you might think. I'll explain in a minute. Now, one thing in this video I didn't show you was how I was struggling to get this laser to come on to keep flashing on all the time using that one button at the back, and I found it quite confusing for me that one button controls all the functions on the meter. I just think it seems a little bit over engineered, but I suppose given time you would get more used to it. The other thing, and keep in mind the camera was on a tripod with the laser, I couldn't see the laser pointing onto that subject. The only way I could do it was following it down the fence at the side on the left, then across and then up the tree stump onto the actual ornament. It did work that way, but I found it very, very awkward. So at this distance it's not easy, and if you were hand holding it you would really, really struggle. The exposure, again though, the meter on the LD, the exposure meter, has done a very good job. So for this picture I'd only give it 8 out of 10. So I've set the ornament a lot further away, and let's see if I can get that laser onto it. I'm thinking at this distance it could be a problem, but we'll see. I'm trying my best to follow the laser along the fence. Just see it there, you probably won't see it on the video. Move it across. Lost sight of it, got it back a little bit there. Just see it. It's actually on the statue now. Lost it again. This is not easy. No, it's not good at this. I could do this by focusing a lot quicker. Perhaps at night it will be okay, but no, I can't see it. So what I'm going to do is just test the actual exposure that it's going to give, because I cannot see the distance, the laser point. So I'll just focus manually. See what exposure region I'm getting. At F2, 1/60th of a second. F2, 1/60th of a second. And we'll see if that exposure is correct. Oh, wind on again, Mark. So I think that's enough testing for it now to see if it's been accurate at the closer distances, where I think this meter comes into its own. And I think the other area where it would come into good use is using it in very low light conditions, or even at night, where you can actually see where the laser is pointing. So this last picture, I must admit, I really struggled. In fact, I couldn't see the pointer, the laser pointer, on the ornament. I couldn't see it on the left hand or the right hand side of the tree. I couldn't even see it on the background, and tried to guide it onto the ornament. So I ended up giving up with that and manually focusing the lens. So I do think that the laser is good for closer, medium distances, but subjects beyond 30 feet, I don't think you're going to see the laser pointer on the subject. Maybe with the sight, this added attachment that goes onto the laser, onto the meter, that might help you, but as the meter is on its own, it's not really good at longer distances. I think you know, if you'd been using an old camera where you use the distance scale, a shoe-mounted rangefinder would have been a lot easier and a lot quicker. I think this would probably be better in darker situations, really low light, or even at night, to see it at further distances. But at this distance in daylight, I just couldn't see it. The one redeeming factor for this meter was the exposure meter. It gave a really good exposure, so that was a plus point for it. So for this picture, I think I can only give it 7 out of 10, because I say I couldn't see the laser pointer. Right, let's move on now, and I'll summarise what I think about this meter. Right, I think those pictures regarding focus and exposure turned out quite well using this L.D Meter from Chi. Now, the things I like about this meter, I love the build quality. I think it's excellent. It feels like it's built out of metal. It's got a nice weight to it. I don't think it's too big. It's just about right. I think the LCD screen's a nice size to view. I like the way that it slopes down. It makes it a lot easier to see when it's mounted on the hot shoe or cold shoe of your camera. I like the dial for changing the various settings. I like dials. I also like the way you can change the shoe, the position of it for different cameras. And also I think that charging it with a USB is great. You don't have to worry about batteries, and it does last a long time with a full charge. I also love the spring on the mountain shoe. That connects very firmly onto the hot or cold show of your camera, and the meter doesn't move at all. That's a great feature. Now, the things that I didn't get on with that well, the laser for a start. I think at closer distances it's really easy to use. There's a laser. But when you get to longer distances, it's very difficult to get that pointer on the subject, and when you do, if you move very slightly, it goes off the subject and you lose your distance. And remember, I was on a tripod and I found it near impossible to do it at the longer distances. So I think this is okay to medium distances, close distances, probably using it at night or lower light where you can see the actual pointer, the laser pointer. But under bright conditions outdoors, today was dull when I was out, you are going to struggle seeing where the pointer is. Now, it's fair to say that I think they fetched out an attachment that helps you see the pointer more clearly at a distance, but if you buy this as it is, like this, in this configuration, you are going to struggle at longer distances. You know, there is something to be said for the old rangefinders. You know, if you get one that's accurate, it makes these cameras a doddle to use. So I think in some ways it's quicker to use the rangefinder and set it on the lens rather than trying to get this laser on the subject, etc., and transfer that to the camera. I think they're always probably quicker, but it does have its uses. The other thing for me that I didn't like was the way that it worked. I'll turn the meter on. You've pressed the button so many times to change different functions, and then use the dial to move the functions about. And you know, you press it once, you press it twice, you press it in and hold it for so long, etc. I found it, and it might be me, my age, but I found it very, very confusing. And I think that unless you're using this meter all the time, you're going to forget how to use it. So that is one of the problems, and I think that's why the Voigtlander VC2 meter is such a popular choice amongst photographers, that you've only got the two dials. You can set the ISO within one of those, and then all you've got to worry about is moving either your shutter or your aperture until you get a green LED and you've got the exposure. Now, you can use it the same way as the L.D Meter. You can set your shutter speed and not move it, and then rotate your aperture until the green LED comes on, or vice versa. So I find this meter a lot simpler to use, the Voigtlander VC. This is a VC2, and I think that's why this is a popular meter. But all in all, it's not a bad meter for the money, and I think if you bought one of these, you would enjoy it. It is fun to use, and under certain circumstances, it is going to help you out. So, out of 10, I'd probably give this 8, and I've reduced it the rating because of this screen. As I say, I find very confusing to use, and the fact that the laser is not always that easy to use. Right guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up, a like, better still, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. Any questions, leave them below and I'll get back to you. And as I always say, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. The LD Meter by Chai.